Lights on.
4:04, you hear the fans. So the Giants now at 2-9 as they get ready to go take on the Raiders out on the West Coast. Took their misery, took their collective 2-9 and dumped it in the lap of Eli Manning by sending him to the bench. Not the way you pay, in a year where they're going nowhere. Not the way you pay back someone for the career he's had here. Not someone who told you yesterday that he wanted to lead and he wanted to try and win as many games as he possibly could, and he wanted to do everything he could. We talked about, leading. We talked about salvaging people's jobs and how important that was to him and stuff like that yesterday, and they turn around today and dump him. Yeah, this move, there's a lot of ways to look at this move. A lot of them are bad, too. This quarterback earned a lot more than that, was owed a lot more than that here. He really was. Was he owed 5 more games here before he decided to move on? He didn't have to come back next year, but the guy had one of the longest streaks in football history. The second longest streak in the history of the league. This guy who has won for you and has led you and has been the epitome of class. Did he deserve better over the last 5 games? That's a no-brainer. All right, let's hear McAdoo. Let's see if he explains. We don't know. It's raw. We haven't listened to it yet. We're going to hear it together. Let's listen.
The roster, top to bottom, especially at the quarterback position, moving on to next season. And with that, we're going to start Geno this week and give him an opportunity to show what he can do. We'll open it up.
So that being said, how do you look at the locker room, your team, and say that Geno will give you a better chance to win than Eli?
We're confident that we can put a plan together to put Geno in a position to be successful and go win the game.
Oh,
how did you come to this decision at this point?
Well, we have 5 games left to play. We have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. We have 2 that we have yet to see in significant game action. And for us, and we want to go take a look at both of those players.
Did you run it by ownership? Is that a conversation you had with them and the general manager as well?
I spoke to Jerry and I spoke to ownership, yes. We're on the same page.
Is this the end of Eli in New York?
No.
Why not?
Well, I have a lot of confidence in Eli as a player, as a quarterback. But at this point, it's my responsibility for the organization to make sure we take a look at Geno and at some point take a look at Davis and give them the opportunity to show what they can do heading into next year.
How did Eli respond?
Why take a look at Geno? He's going to be a pending free agent. Is that something, that evaluation, if you wanted to bring him back, is that a part of the evaluation?
Yeah, it's part of the evaluation process. Geno's come in. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. Won the backup job, and want to throw him out there and see how he performs. We feel we can put a good plan together and put him in position to help us win this ball game.
Were you surprised that Eli declined the opportunity to start?
No, the streak obviously is very important to Eli. I have a lot of respect for everything that Eli's done in this league and for this organization, and a lot of respect for the streak. I see what he goes through each and every week to get ready to play and how consistent he is. And I don't want to speak for Eli, but I don't believe he'd want to tarnish the record. And I'll leave it at that.
Would it be a situation where you would just start him in like a series or 2, or what was the game plan going in before?
The game plan going in was playing for a half and play Geno for the second half. And we decided after our conversation this morning that we'll give Geno the ball starting at the beginning of the game.
How did you break it to Eli?
I brought him in, had a chance to think about it over the weekend, and I brought him in yesterday. We sat down and talked about it and left it overnight to think about it a little bit more, and then we talked about it this morning and decided on this is the best direction for the team.
Will he be inactive?
No, he'll be number 2 this week.
But down the road it could be Davis be number 2?
We're going to take it 1 week at a time right now.
So your intention is not to start them over the final 5 games?
My intention is this week, Geno's going to start the game, play the game, and Eli will be number 2.
But you mentioned getting Davis time, so where?
At some point in time, Davis will be thrown in the mix, yes.
So not necessarily Sunday?
Not necessarily Sunday.
He'll be active, Dave.
I didn't say that.
What do you think this says about your future that ownership, gave the okay on this move?
Now, this has nothing to do with my future. This is what's best for the team moving forward.
But, obviously, you said this season's over, so it's with an eye toward next season.
No, we have 5 games left to play, 5 very important games. We have to have a chance to go win these 5 games. We have a chance to take a look at the roster top to bottom, get great evaluations, and move forward that way.
Ed, you said you thought about this over the weekend. Was that the first time you thought about making this move, or had you thought about it going further beyond Thanksgiving?
This was I had a short week last week when we knew we were out of playoff contention. We were out of the mix. That's the time when you really have to take a look at your roster and make determinations on who you want to evaluate.
Have you announced this to the team for the first?
I just did, yes.
What was their reaction?
Not much of a reaction.
Do you think
I'm sure they'll have more for you later.
Do you think it'd be tough to get those guys to buy in when you sit a 2-time Super Bowl MVP?
I think that players in this league understand that their job's on the line each and every time they take the field. They understand how precious reps are. They understand how precious games are. They know that they could lose their job at any point in time. And I think they can relate to what most of them can relate to what Eli's going through.
How much did Eli's performance on Thursday against Washington play into this decision?
Listen, I haven't coached well enough. Our offense hasn't played well enough. Our defense hasn't played well enough, and our special teams haven't played well enough. All those reasons are why I'm standing here right now. They're all part of it.
What does this move say about the quarterback position for the Giants going forward?
I think that just like every other position, you're going to look at it critically and do an evaluation, an open, honest evaluation.
You said that Eli wouldn't want to tarnish the streak, but a lot of fans are going to say that you're tarnishing his legacy here. What would your response be to that?
I think a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks who've done a lot for a lot of teams haven't been able to choose the way that they get to move on. And I'm not saying that we're moving on, but at some point in time, you have to make hard, tough decisions for the best for the franchise, and that's what I have to do here.
Is it realistic though to make this move and to have a future with Eli going forward? I mean, this is kind of a bell you can't unring.
Time will tell.
Ben, the last time you guys were in the stadium, you win a game. After the game, we saw the video of you in the locker room calling Eli to the middle. A lot of the players talked about how important it was before the game that he kind of stood up, commanded the room. You talked about it. It seems like, a week later, you're making this move. I mean, are you taken aback? I mean, did you have to really think long and hard about this to make this kind of move?
I think you have to separate yourself emotionally from things, as hard as that may be. I respect everything that Eli's done for this organization, and make decisions on what's best for the future of the organization.
So just to be clear, you went to Jerry and John after you made the decision independently, or was it a joint decision?
We're all on the same page.
No, but I'm saying how's that work? Do you go to them and say, this is what I want to do?
We're all on the same page with the decision.
How much do you think a quarterback that's mobile can be different to work with or help you at this point?
As far as Gino has a skill set that is a little bit different than Eli. He is a pocket passer, and he can do some creating on the move. I think that's something Eli has gotten better at over the years, but Gino can't create on the move. He's going to have to pick his spots. They're a very, very talented rush this week, but I'm excited to watch him play.
So if you're back here next year, you can see Eli as your starting quarterback?
It's part of the evaluation process, absolutely.
Is there any thought to waiving him, letting him try to go catch on somewhere else?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now you got all the answers you want. This coach has decided, he has told you, Giant fans, he has told you, New York, that in his football wisdom, Geno Smith gives him the best chance to win this week, not Eli Manning. Geno Smith. Now, we're not going to see the third quarterback. It sounds like he wouldn't even give us an answer. We don't even know if he's going to have Davis Webb active this week. He didn't tell us whether he would. He said Eli would be number 2 this week. So that means if Geno gets his bell run, Eli's got to come back in the game this week, because he didn't even he told you that Eli's number 2 this week. And in weeks to come, sounds like he might dress Webb and Smith, and he said Smith will play. Webb will play down the line. So what he told you was a little different than the way it was reported to us before. The way it was reported to us before was that Smith and Webb would both play this week. That is not true. What we learned this week is that he went to Eli with a plan where Eli was going to play the first half or a part of the first half. We don't know exactly the first half. And then Geno Smith was going to come in the game. But he also told you that Geno Smith gave him the best chance to win this week. Geno Smith, who we know well. You're compared now. Geno Smith is not a running quarterback. Is he more mobile than Eli? Well, a tree is. Okay, we understand that. That is not Eli's strength. And because of the fact that Jerry Reese did such a lousy job, so he okayed this too, because now these guys whose careers are, McAdoo's career is worthless. Jerry Reese's career is built on Eli Manning. His success in those 2 games is the only reason that Jerry Reese has got a career. He doesn't have a career because of what he's drafted here. He's got a career because he won 2 Super Bowls, won by Eli Manning, who went on the road and won all those playoff games, and who won the Super Bowl MVP twice by beating the Patriots. Without that, Jerry Reese is unemployed. Without those, none of those guys walk around that room with the swagger that they have. It's built on his back. And you're going to try and tell us that you got a better chance to win any game with Geno Smith over Eli Manning? Offensive line or no offensive line? That is your answer? When you're putting out there no starting wide receivers and an offensive line that last week was embarrassing. And this quarterback has done everything he possibly could for you. And McAdoo, let's look at the body of work. He has disrespected Eli Manning on numerous occasions over the last 2 years. He's afraid of Beckham. We know that. He never, ever stood up to Beckham 1 minute, which has caused him all kinds of difficulty on that team. But he has never been afraid to take a shot at Eli Manning, who has too much class, take a shot back at him. But you now are going to stand up in this town where we've seen Geno Smith play, and you're going to tell us you have a better chance to win with him than Eli Manning? Have you taken a look at Eli Manning's career? This is a desperate move by a desperate guy who is clinging. And the fact that John Mara has not separated himself from this fool is hard to believe. And then he tries to tell you that we'll be okay if we try to bring Eli back next year? First of all, if I'm McAdoo, I won't be talking about next year. Secondly, that's the message. That's the message you're going to allow this coach, who is clearly in a desperate mode right now. He's got a game plan. We haven't seen a game plan all year from this guy. Since he's been the head coach, the Giants have never scored 30 points ever. We haven't seen anything except I got to go look at the tape from this guy all year. And now you're going to tell me that your plan is to go to Geno Smith? That's the game plan that's going to beat the Raiders this week? You got to be kidding me. You can't run this clown out of town fast enough. The worst thing that ever happened is Eli Manning had to be associated with you as head coach, with the career he's had here. Maybe on your way out, you can take a look at Eli's rings. That's the closest you're ever going to get to one, too. With actions like this, you're going to try and tell us that Geno Smith is the answer? That's the problem with this team now, is the quarterback after what we've watched this year? You're playing guys who drop every ball in sight? You haven't disciplined a damn player all year, and you're going to blame this now on your quarterback? At 2-9? What a gutless move. That's not going to stand in this town because these guys have watched Eli Manning. They've watched him long before they ever heard your name. And they remember his long after they forgot yours. You're going to turn around at 2-9 and blame this now on Eli Manning? He hasn't played great this year because he can't operate with no wide receivers and no offensive line and no running game. Who the hell can? And he has not uttered one word. This is a guy who is at worst, a borderline Hall of Famer, who is a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. There are a handful of those ever in the history of this league. And he's never, ever said a bad word about any of those guys who are holding him in judgment now. Not one time has he thrown that coach under the bus. You got to be kidding me. Now at 2-9, this is how the Giants are going to circle the wagons. They're going to throw their champion quarterback, who has been there every day, through beating, through everything, since 2004, and they're going to throw him under the bus with 5 games to play in this decaying, decrepit, disgusting season. That's what the Giants are all on the same page. So I'm to believe that Jerry Reese stamped this, John Mara stamped this, the Tisch family stamped this. This is what you guys all decided to do to Eli Manning in game number 12 of this disgusting season. Shame on all of you.